Hello, my name's Carl, and this is a video about the routes in the 11th edition.
Imagine your heaviest artillery tank taking aim across the battlefield,
Huh.
right? And you realize the enemy squad is just completely untargetable because they've hunkered down behind a ruined bunker.
Yeah, that is a massive shift.
It really is. Welcome to a special Warp into War deep dive. Today, we're looking at a stack of articles detailing the huge rule changes coming to the 11th edition of Warhammer 40,000. It's kind of like, well, updating your phone's operating system.
Right, you want the sleek new optimization, but you don't really want to relearn how to make a basic call.
Exactly. But it seems like the designers are hitting a good balance here. Looking at the articles, we're seeing an evolution of the core engine, not a total system wipe. Take army building, for example.
Oh yeah, the game is launching with over 70 new or updated detachments. And instead of locking you into one rigid army structure, you can actually mix multiple detachments.
That's interesting because, of course, 70 detachments are quite a lot. Maybe there are commons detachments actually. And I think it's kind of complicated to just buy your army and adjust it for one detachment. Basically, you select a detachment and then you see, okay, what units are best for this. But then you can combine the detachment. That's gonna be quite complicated, and I think you're just gonna need to run on a feeling and have fun, basically.
So you can custom tailor exactly how your forces operate on the table.
Precisely, which, naturally shifts the entire goal of the game.
Because if you're bringing a highly customized force, your physical goals on the battlefield have to change to match them. The articles highlight that the traditional round objective markers, those abstract neoprene circles on a map, are completely gone.
Totally gone. Now, your specific army and detachment choices partially dictate the missions you play, and you're fighting over specific physical terrain pieces.
Like actual bunkers, relics, or shrines.
It physically grounds the narrative. You aren't just standing on a circle anymore, you are holding a fortress.
Right, and because you're fighting over actual structures, the rules for how terrain protects you have radically changed.
I like that. I mean, it's not that fun to just stand on a circle and play for objectives like terrain sounds much more fun. I guess there will be terrain pieces for the box. That would be awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, cover now affects your opponent's hit rolls.
and that's really good because right now cover affects the save. So you first roll for hit, then you roll for damage, and then it matters. But now when it affects the hit rolls, you immediately remove die rolling and make everything faster. So that's really good.
So it changes how likely they are to actually spot and target you, rather than just giving you a bonus to your armor saving throws after you've already been hit.
And the stealth gets extreme. If your troops are in terrain and not shooting, they become completely untargetable to enemies more than 15 inches away.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, you can advance then, so you can move forward into terrain and no one can shoot you, and this will make everything easier too, I guess. Like you don't need to see like, okay, can you spot me from there or can you spot me from there? They're just not possible to shoot at.
But wait, I have to push back on this. Doesn't a hard 15-inch cutoff completely cripple long-range shooting armor?
But I wonder what happens about indirect fire. Maybe those always can shoot, so that's their buff for the next edition.
Well, it sounds punishing for heavy guns at first glance, I know. But the mechanics here are designed to force mobility.
Meaning you can't just castle up in your deployment zone.
Right. You can't just sit back and shoot your opponent off the board from a safe distance anymore. You have to physically maneuver to get within that 15-inch window to even take the shot.
So instead of a static firing squad, it becomes this dynamic game of cat and mouse to secure firing angles.
Exactly. And that philosophy of spreading out the action applies to tactical resources, too. The articles note the days of stratagem stacking are over.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, you can no longer dump all your command points into stacking multiple buffs on a single unit to make them an unstoppable force in one turn.
Which naturally pushes armies to clash up close. With shooting limited by those 15-inch cover rules and fewer overpowered buff combinations, we are definitely going to see brutal close-quarters combat.
Oh, for sure. The articles detail a massive cleanup of the melee phase, from how units activate to dealing damage, to how they physically pile in to surround the enemy.
But the change to charges really caught my eye. You roll your charge dice first, and then decide who you are attacking.
That fundamentally changes risk management.
And that's a big change actually in like game design because I think it's pretty fun to gamble and like maybe I can charge, but let's try. I tried to charge and then I rolled, but now it's the opposite that you roll and then you decide. So it's better game design because you have the control and you decide yourself, but maybe not as fun.
Previously, you'd commit to a target, roll low on the dice, and your unit would just fail the charge.
Just standing there awkwardly in the open.
Yeah, exactly. Now you see your movement range first, allowing you to pivot to a closer secondary target if you roll poorly. It should lead to far fewer failed charges.
That is going to save so much frustration. And transports are getting a major
Can you
combat
fail a
upgrade too.
charge?
Right, the disembarking rules. Units can now jump out of a transport that is actively locked in melee combat and immediately attack.
That's also pretty good actually that you can disembark because for right now you can wall off at a weekend with our transport with embarked units, but they can't disembark and so on. So this is a good change.
They do risk taking casualties or suffering battle shock on the way out, but kicking the doors open straight into a firefight is incredibly cinematic.
It really adds a gritty realism to vehicle assaults. And speaking of resilience, character leaders now keep their special commanding abilities, even if the bodyguard unit they are attached to is entirely wiped out.
So they don't suddenly forget how to command just because they are the last ones standing.
Right. Combine that with fast dice rolling being fully integrated as the primary method for resolving damage, and the whole combat system is just built for speed.
That's pretty interesting that you fast die rolling for damage. I wonder what that means because you could have different strength, you could have different toughness when you roll for damage. And are you using the best or the worst? Roll everything at once. I don't know what they mean there, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly how it works.
Okay, before we get to the absolute biggest rule news in this edition, a quick reminder for you to hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel so we can keep making these custom deep dives just for you. Ready?
I think they're ready.
Here is the ultimate relief for veteran players. Existing 10th edition Codex books remain fully playable in the 11th edition.
Which is the real aha moment of these articles. The publisher is shifting away from invalidating the entire ecosystem every few years.
Yeah, letting you use your current army rules on day one creates a stable foundation.
And that's great. I mean, it would be terrible if they released the 11th edition and you need to wait for a years to get your new codex. One small detail is that there are some spelling errors and so on in the existing codex. So
rather than constantly forcing you to buy back into your own faction. We think this sounds like a great addition. What do you think?
The shift from abstract mechanics to narrative, physical battles is a brilliant direction for the hobby.
It really is. It leaves you wondering, how will the shift from holding abstract circles to violently breaching physical bunkers change the gritty cinematic feel of your own personal tabletop battle? Will it finally
Great.
feel like you're directing